You're listening to Bedroom Beethovens, where notable music makers break down stories accompanied by songs and melodies documenting growth through their 10,000-hour journey. And me? Well, my name is Cello, your host.
I am a bedroom Beethoven.
Welcome, people of Earth, to episode 136 of the podcast.
Baby, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home.
My guest this week is...
My name is Illa J. I'm a singer, songwriter, rapper, producer from Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. People might know me because of my brother. He's an amazing producer by the name of James Yancy, aka J Dilla. Maybe you might know the joint I did with Robert Glasper and Miles Davis. Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a chill dude and I'm a stoner, and I like making music. I don't know what you...
Baby, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. Yes, I'm home, home. I'll be there for you. Home, home. I'll be there for you. Home, there for you. Baby, I'm home.
John Yancy, aka Illa J, is in the house this week to talk about the aftermath of dillafest, creating new work in the legacy of his brother J Dilla. Been wanting him on the podcast for years and finally able to make it happen. The stars have aligned. Look, if this is your first time on the podcast, I don't give people their flowers. I don't rank hip-hop records from the 90s. I don't romanticize the golden age of music. These are straight conversations with creative people. So if you like what I do, if you enjoy the talks, consider supporting the show by subscribing to the podcast wherever it is you get podcasts. And patreon.com/bedroombeethovens is the quickest, easiest way to support me. A buck or two gives you early access to episodes, and man, it just boosts me up. Man, if I get an email saying I got a new Patreon, it might as well be my birthday. I appreciate the love and support. My heart goes out to the people of Louisiana who are being displaced by the hurricane, and with everything else going on in the world, maybe shutting off our brains, not looking at the news, and pressing play on a podcast is exactly what we need. Maybe not, but you're here, and I thank you. Shout out to J57, the 5-7 Collective, my support system, my homies, I appreciate you. Let's start the show. Blessings. And I did want to say, congrats on getting married. I know your wife is a very talented visual artist, and
for sure,
now I wouldn't normally ask this question. I feel like a woman might be more curious, but given the Yancy Boy's legacy, with your father Dilla and now you, the Yancy Boy legacy could continue if you guys were talking about kids.
Definitely, man. That's funny. I always thought about that because I'm like, it's literally just like me, because it's like, not on a sad note, but it's just what it is. Like both my blood brothers passed, and my dad, so it's just me. So it's like, that would be the next. It would have to be me that would have to make the next Yancy Boys.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Well, you're, I know you're your worst critic when it comes to your own production, and there hasn't been a lot of your stuff like released officially. Like I even heard that beat that you posted on Instagram a few weeks ago, and it's great. So like, a whole album with you singing and rapping on production duties at this stage in your life, would you craft something like that?
It's funny. That's literally what's happening right now. This is literally what's happening. Shout out to my boy Adam One. So we have a production duo, but like I produce myself, but like basically, long story short, when I was I was living in Montreal for a while, and when I was there, I had a band called the Martians, and Adam One was one of the producers from it. Like we were because it was like three of us were like more on the production side of it, and then shout out to Fauna and LEK. One of them was a bass player, one's a singer. But like three of us were like really part of the production, and so we always stayed working. And then even now, I live in Vegas and he lives in Montreal, and we still work like all the time. So pretty much we have a whole project that's us both producing, but like I'm doing all the vocals. So it's like it's kind of like a solo album, but it's not, because it's like it's our squad kind of doing our thing. You know what I mean? We doing our thing, but it's like half of it will be like his production, and then like half will be like my production, and I'm doing vocals on all of it. But yeah, it's fun, man. It's like, and it's cool doing it as a duo too, because then people can't throw the same darts at us as a duo as they could throw at me. Cause like, you know what I mean, as far as like the whole like comparison whole thing, like if it's like the whole comparison thing, they can't really pin that, because now it's you got to talk to us as a duo. So but again, like it's fun like doing a lot of different stuff. I'm still doing vocal stuff with Calvin, where like projects where Calvin is the main producer and I'm just songwriting. So it's like Calvin, I'm like, that's really who I work with. It's really just Calvin Valentine and Adam One. Like I really don't work with a lot of people nowadays. So cause like you were saying, like I produce and all that stuff. So for me, it was just more of a thing of like, like I have like the biggest shoes to fill when it comes to producing. You know what I mean? If anyone else, like, you know what I mean? It's like your brother is like the greatest of all time. It's like, oh shit. So it's like, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally like I was chilling with shout out to Beach by Jay Black, super dope finger drummer. He was like, sorry, bro. He was like, sorry, your bro's a legend. Sorry, sorry, man, but your bro's a legend. And it's one of those things. It's like, yo, it's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like James is crazy with it. So it's just like, but like I'm thankful for that, just because I have nowhere to go but up. Because at the end of the day, like to me, I'm an old school. So for me, like, I feel like I'm an old school, like earning my stripes type of vibe with me. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to earn your levels. Like nothing is entitled to me. You know what I mean? Like each level that I earned in my career, I feel like I have to work for that. Like, and my brother wasn't here even though I have like a lot of contacts and things like that, being in the industry, that can only go so far. Like, you know what I mean? Like after that, it's really your work ethic and your talent.
I was going to ask you about that. Cause like, your brother lent Erica a Tarika Blue record that she sampled Dreamflower, and it ended up becoming Didn't You Know off Mama's Gun. And then I remember you saying like, oh, it would be a personal goal for me to have Erica Badu on our record. And I think the elephant in the room would be like, well, can't you just call her up and then kind of piggyback off the efforts of your brother? But you don't do that. So I like that you have a clear outline to where his relationships with these artists are different than your relationships, and not in a negative way, but the dynamic is based off respect, and you don't want to piggyback off that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was talking with Frank from Frank and Dank about that the other day. Like those are bros. And I was saying like it's a lot of people, if they were in my shoes, like because I'm just saying, like, if you think about, I could have used as many of my brother's beats as I wanted to, like in my career. Like I've had a lot of years, I could have just used as many. I could have just went through the list and just ate up all of the beats, like if I wanted to, you know what I mean? But it's like my goal was to create my own lane. So, because like for me, I respect the craft, so I respect what my brother did. So I want, you know what I mean? I want to build my own lane, so people can respect me in my own light, not just like someone just like, oh, well, he's just using his brother stuff. So it's like, no, we are, because for me, like part of that was like not only just for me, but to represent my family, because it's so many talented musicians in my family. So it's not like it's just like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like no, it's like my parents came together through music. So it's like we literally grew up in a family of music. So it's just like it's just a natural, literally it's just a natural thing in the household. So it's like, but yeah, I'm pretty sure like I went off topic, whatever I was talking about.
Well, I think bringing it back though, I mean, because you just wrapped up Dillafest, and I actually watched your performance. You started it when it was daylight, and when your set ended, you performed right through the nighttime, and I watched it all. I thought it was a great performance.
Man, first, just being on stage again is just dope. Like I for the last year or so, like, it's like I've been in a whole nother world as far as like, I've been investing and like all kind of other stuff. Cause I mean, I was investing before that, but like once everything happened, I jumped a lot more into investing and stuff like that, just because I get, it's a lot of things. I just took advantage of things I couldn't do when I wasn't on tour. So like, I didn't look at it as a negative. It was just more like for me, like, okay, cool. Now I got time to do all this other shit that like I wanted to do, but like I was on tour. So it was like, you know what I mean? I couldn't balance it all. You know what I mean? So Like I got a lot better as an investor, especially this year. It's like the market's been so up and down. So like it's kind of really dope learning in the market like that, because then like when it's a more stable market, like you can damn near do whatever the hell you want. Like once you like been in a crazy, like this year's crazy. I'm happy to be like fully back in my music, and like that show was like things like that pull you back in. Like not that you were ever out of it, because like music is my love, but it's one of those things where it's like you have times in your career where it's like it's like because like, you gotta have regular life too. It's like it's not just like music, and then it's like you got like you gotta have that balance, and I think that's what I learned from this whole pandemic thing was that I need to take more breaks like that off, like more often, like get a bunch of music creativity out and then just take a break and then come back to my career. And then like I said, like the dillafest event, which I keep jumping off the topic, but like what's so dope about that is just appreciating the performance part of it. You know what I mean? It's just like that. It's just a whole nother level. Like don't get me wrong, I'm having fun making beats in the lab, but like the performance part of it, being in front of people and having that interaction, it's just a whole nother level. It's just a whole nother level to it. So it's just like just being on stage was just dope. And honestly, it's trippy because it's like, you know what I mean, to see like, it's 15 years, since my bro's passed, and to see his legacy still growing, still getting bigger and bigger. So it's like, it's just, it's crazy. Like music is truly like timeless.
Yeah, like the purpose of Dillafest, like if I had a pie chart and I split it into two pieces, what percentage would be honoring your brother and what percentage would be introducing his music to a new generation of fans?
I would say half and half. Like I would say, because I feel like it's in a sense it's half and half, and like in that obviously it's a lot of his core fans there that known him since the Tribe days and the Far Side, all that stuff. But then it's a lot of newer people learning about him each year, and younger people and stuff. So it's like I would say, I mean, I don't want to be exact on the percentages, but like it's definitely a lot of both. Like a lot of new generation fans of him, and especially producers. Like nowadays, like everyone has an MPC. More people have MPCs than ever now. You know what I mean? So it's like, and he's definitely a big part of that. It's like it's not even one of those things where I have to be like, well, maybe I'm overstating myself. Like, no, he's definitely a big part of that for sure.
Yeah, because I'm seeing your brother getting placed on like Snoop Dogg CDs now, and it's just like, man, that's good for the new fans, because like my friend is a teacher at a high school, and he said that he played Dr. Dre's The Chronic on the last day of school before summer, and he thought he was going to get like some cool points. He played Next Episode, and like none of the kids knew what it was. So I was like, oh my God, if these Gen Z kids don't know about Nate Dogg and Dr. Dre, man, what chance does Dilla have? The Soulquarians and every respected musician under the sun knows about the genius of your brother, but maybe a festival like Dillafest could be like a vehicle to make new fans, like when the baby didn't know who Questlove was on Instagram, like stuff like that. Man, it gives me chest pains.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
It's not their fault, because it's like a lot of it is what's put out in front of us, and like in the last so many years, it's like it's just different how it was in the 90s. I feel like more, I don't know, it was more I don't know how to say it, but more diverse musical acts was kind of put in your face, like in the mainstream. And now I feel like they put so much of again, it's like it feel like it's a loop what I'm saying. Everyone says it, but it's just what it is. It's one of those things where they put out, like they're starting to change that a little bit, but like they only put in our face so many artists, and you have to find out about all those other artists that are like breaking the rules and doing new shit. But again, I mean, it's just different generations. Like our generation, we didn't have access to everything, so we appreciate things just a little bit more. It's just what it is. They have everything in their face. Like they could listen to whatever song they want to for free. So it's just like you know what I mean? Like we didn't. You had to buy that CD. So it's like it's just a different world, man.
I know your musical journey kind of started with jazz. The next thing I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about that. Like, what kind of jazz were your parents listening to that you were always an earshot away from that influenced you?
Acapella, like vocal, like a lot of vocal jazz, like acapella groups, and like it was Manhattan Transfers. It's the Double Six of Paris, Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, and so like these classic vocal jazz groups is like the type of like that type of shit. So that's like
And be welcome to stay. Baby, tell me come home. Living alone is so lonely. I never should ever have run you away.
that's the type of shit I came up on. So when you combine that with like I was in the choir like since I was like 6, like from like 6 to like 13, like rehearsal. I go to rehearsal with my parents Tuesdays, and then Friday I would have like the youth rehearsal. Then we all sing in church and sat on Sunday and stuff. So it's like with the combination of all of that, it makes sense that like I'm able to like put harmonies together as far as for voices and stuff. I've been hearing nothing but voices a cappella like since I was a kid, like because my parents, they had an a cappella jazz group actually too. So it's like they would rehearse in the living room, so you would just hear them harmonizing, like no music, just their voices and stuff. So yeah, that was honestly, the more I think about that, that was such, as a vocalist, I couldn't have had a better training, like as far as like not only just training my voice but training my ear growing up.
Yeah, because I don't know if this is correct, but wasn't your mom kind of like the musical black sheep of the family? That the Yancy legacy actually doesn't go too deep. It kind of starts when your mom and your father met, and it went from there. Like your dad has 9 siblings, and I don't know how many went off to work in the music industry.
Well, actually, it's actually opposite. It's actually my dad. He's that dude, actually.
He ghost wrote "It's a Shame" by the Spinners.
Yep. And like he like yeah, like one of his cousins, Robert Mickens, was he, rest in peace. Like he played was it trumpet or so it was a sax or trumpet for Cool in the Gang. My bad. I was like but like like there's a lot of music on my dad's side. Like both of his parents played like silent piano for like movies back then. Like because like I think my dad, he was up there. Like he was born in 1932, so his parents were like up there too. So like yeah, both his parents played piano, and like yeah, he's like that dude, and like he's the one that got my brother into James Brown, and again, like people forget, like that's why James has such a our field comes from like my dad loves James Brown, so it's like with that feel, that funk, you know what I mean? James Brown is other people have done it, but no one has done it like James Brown. Like if you ever want to refresh like what funk is, you just go back to James Brown, you know what I mean? And James had a very good understanding of funk coming from like, that's one of my dad's favorite artists. Like even Mystical, like my dad liked Mystical because his voice was similar to James, like how he, yell and stuff, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's how my dad really loved James Brown. But like, I think that influenced us a lot. Cause like I'm just as much rhythmically driven as I am melodically. It's just that again, the jazz thing that shows you like the melodic side. So that's like how I learned my ears. So it's like any other type of melody. If I heard jazz first, then it's like pop and R&B is easy. You know what I mean? Cause it's like, it's the same chorus, the whole song, but like jazz, like, it'll go from here, dun, 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 and then you somewhere else in another like scale or some shit. Like, but like R&B and pop is like super easy. But like I said, melodically that's easy because like the choir and jazz, but rhythmically, it's like James Brown. It's just I don't know. It's a feeling. It's like I just like how that feels like when you listen to this music, like the anticipation, and it's all a live jam. It's crazy.
Well, my knee-jerk reaction when someone mentions something like Motown, you mentioned James Brown's funk. When I think Motown, I think soul, but really Motown is like pop music when you really analyze it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it literally is actually when you think about that. And also going back, like just to go back real quick, like to my mom. So it's like, so my dad was like that's the thing. They both were music though. They both were music. So my mom was like a really dope singer. Like she's she studied like opera. So her voice is like really crazy. like for real. Like she has like super range in her voice and stuff. So it's like I know for sure, like I definitely sound a little like my dad with my voice, but I'm pretty sure a lot of my range and stuff comes from my mom. So it's like I'm a mixture of both of them when it comes to like the singing. Because they both were like really good singers. Like
like a lot of people used to say my dad sound like Sam Cooke. That's why I actually named that song, that sound. I mean, my song Sam Cooke, that just kind of like a tribute to my dad.
Looking for the right situation, occupation, sick of wasting so much time, no more wait. Get these fucking bills paid. Sam Cooke it till the meals made. I wasn't sleeping and it's still late. Catch me creeping when it's real late.
That was his favorite singer, and like, yeah, people would say his voice sounded like that, so it's kind of crazy. But like, yeah, I'm like singing wise, I'm a mixture. My mom and my pops was singing. Like, salute to my mom. It's like she can get up there. She can hit them high notes. my dad worked with a lot of peeps in like the Motown, cause like he stayed right around the corner growing up. Like they stayed in the Black Bottom in Detroit, right? And my dad stayed around the corner from Smokey Robinson. You know what I mean? So it's just like when they were coming up, like they were all in the same area and shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's just trippy when it's like when you think about like how many, it's like what was in the air at that time. Like so many, like, you know what I mean? It was so many talented musicians coming out of that time. And then again, that's perfect because it ties into the other question about Motown. And like that whole, like, I don't know, it's like it's trippy when you think about that. Like people don't, because like I feel like people skip over that when they talk about Motown, but like when you really think about it, like Detroit is such a major part of where pop music is now. Like it's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's like, yo, like Motown is like, it's a nice foundation of that. Because then everybody else just start trying to make shit like Motown.
Yeah, that's where it starts for sure. It's funny. It's like, I guess if I'm focusing back on you, like young RJ, he came through and he told me that he ghost produced a few tracks on Fantastic Volume 2, which would put him at like teenager age. And he said it was hard. Like the people that were in the room didn't sugarcoat it. If it was whack, they told you. So going back to your earliest work with your brother, you did a track with him when you were 13. Was that a similar experience? Like, was it so labor intensive as a 13-year-old? You were like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on basketball for a bit. Maybe I'll come back to this later.
No, not even that. Honestly, I think it was just like, it's just what it is. You're young. I still got school and shit. So it's like, if I could have just dropped out of just school at that time and just like, fuck it, I'm going to just do music. Like, I would have just honestly did it. You know what I mean? But, it's just like, they want me to go to school and go to college. And like, they wanted, because like, I think he wanted me to have somewhat of a normal life a little bit to kind of like, because he like, so I know that, him and my mom because my mom was with him all of those years of his last days when, he was sick and stuff. And, they talked a lot about me. And I know that like, my mom would tell me like, yeah, like he knew that I was like going to eventually get the music bug. And it's the same. I have a niece, my sister's daughter, and she can sing really good. And it's one of those things I don't force her with it. It's just more like, I know she was going to get to a point when she realizes that, oh shit, I have this gift. Like I should be using it. You know what I mean? It'll like, I'd rather it come naturally and me like trying to make her do it. And I feel like my brother had the same approach with me. Like he didn't want to be on me like that with it. But like the way it started was it was both of my brothers in the studio, my brother James, my brother Earl. And I'd always been writing. I was writing since I was like 8 or 9, like writing little poems and stuff. And then I would hear my sister's poetry, and eventually I just started writing songs. And one time I don't know, I just had the courage that day. I don't know what it was, but I had the courage to say, like, I'm in the basement with both my bros. And I just decided to just say my little rap. You know what I mean? He was like, yo, that's dope. And yeah, like that was his first time having me come to the studio. Like, he had a limo pick me up and all that shit. Went to the studio, and that was my first actual studio session. Like, like I wish I had done it more while he was here and stuff. But I mean, you can't get, it's just what it is. But at the same time, though, it's like it's one of those things I always forget when I look back. Like, yo, like I don't need a fucking cosign. Like my brother already cosigned me when I was a fucking kid. So it's like when I overthink it about like, dang, like people who fuck with it's like, yo, your brother already co-signed you. He's a legend. So fuck that shit. Like, again, I'm older now. I'm just getting to that point. You know what I mean? When I was younger, the pressure would overwhelm me more when I would think about people's opinions on my career and all that shit. And as a grown ass man, I was like, yo, it's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, I like be unborn differently. Like, yo, your brother's a legend. That's what he does, and you just got to show them, like, yo, it's a whole talented family. That's it. It's not just like, oh, just. And that's the thing. It's not just music. It's like I was talking to salute to the homie Dan Charnas. I was talking to him, and he's actually writing a book, right? About my brother, a really dope book. And he was just telling me, like, one thing I noticed, like, interviewing a fam, is like, it's not just necessarily just a music thing. It's just that, like, y'all just good at shit. It's not a cocky thing. It's just more like for me, my personality, I'm a super nerd. If I really like something, I'm going to learn it to the best of my ability so I can do it dope. You know what I mean? It's not even like a cocky thing. It's just more like, okay, I really like this. Dang, this is kind of cool. Let me continue. Let me just do it and get better and better at it. And that's it. It's not even, you know what I mean? Because for me, it's about again, it comes back to like the love for, like, I really like making music. Like, to me, it's still surreal that it's like at some point, it's like we kids, we are playing and shit, and then at some point everybody got jobs and shit, and then I'm the one that's still like making music and shit. It's like, I like, you know what I mean? It's trippy, man. It's really trippy because like it makes me thankful for it, like, because it's really rare to be able to just do music and shit. Like, I wake up and I'm like, dang, let me make a beat today or some shit. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a blessing, because it's like it's a lot of people that are trying to pursue music, and you know what I mean, it's hard to like actually like really do it where you just make music and shit. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a crazy journey, man.
I always think about like when your career is over and then people want to analyze it with like documentaries and stuff, you know, which they could do on your brother quite easily. I know you're like you're a Michael Jordan fan. Did The Last Dance change your perspective of him? Because I know a lot of people who looked up to him, maybe that 2-hour piece of film can like warp the way you perceive somebody, even though like he's just, you know, the best of all time, you know?
For me, as a huge Jordan fan, honestly, I just respected him more. Like, it ain't do nothing but make me respect him even more. It was nothing that, if you're already a Jordan fan, you already expected him. Yeah, of course he cussing out his teammates. Yeah, like, it's Jordan. What? Like, you know what I mean? The whole, hey man, like, I'm like the whole like Republicans about Jordans and all these different things, and like, you know what I mean, like, people try to use anything they can to taint someone's legacy, but you can't take away how Jordan did it. No one did it like Jordan did it. No one will ever do it like Jordan did it. It hit how he, like, it's if you go on YouTube, it's a lot of LeBron fans reacting to Jordan videos, and they're like tripping out. It's like, dang. It's crazy. I get it though. It's like shit. Like, you know, because it's just what it is. People still wearing his shoes today. Yeah, LeBron got shoes out, but more people wearing Jordans.
It's crazy.
Like, yo, it's just what it is. You can't take away. Like, it's not like when Dr. J came and then Jordan came and then Jordan became the new king. Like, no, Jordan still is Jordan.
Yeah. Ninth Wonder posted something on Instagram last week that Michael Jordan played all 82 games of a season 9 times. And for perspective, Kobe only did that 4 times. And he played 18 games with a broken foot. So you add in the playoffs, he won in 91, 92, the Summer Olympics in 92, another win in 93. That's 300 games in 3 years. And for like, just by comparison, like, you couldn't run a half a mile in December. That's how hard something like that is. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, people like to focus on rings and championships, but that's work ethic. You know, same for the music. Like, your brother finished 90% of an album in a hospital bed. That's a different level of work ethic. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I actually, I mentioned, as I mentioned this a few times, it's like, this is one of those things that like always like, just so people understand, like my view on shit is like I got an honorable mention paper like when I was like in middle school, and my paper was about Michael Jordan and my brother, and what I wrote about them, my whole paper was about their work ethic and shit. So like it's crazy because that's exactly it. It's like they what I learned from my brother is, you want to do some shit, okay, do it though. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't, like, okay, it's like, for example, I hit up people, right? If I need if I have questions about something, I'm trying to pursue something, you know what I mean? But at the same time, though, you also already have to take some steps. You can't ask someone. I think sometimes people get twisted, like, and asking for help. It's okay to ask for help, but it's like, I'm not gonna tell you the whole fucking blueprint. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just like, like when I'm asking for something, like for example, like I'm figuring out some shit with my synths and how my studio set up. I hit up the homies and I'm like, yo, you try this, but like the thing is, I've already tried a few things. I'm not asking them to tell me they blueprint. I'm just more like, yo, so I tried it with 2 MIDI chords and I tried it with the other one. Like, what you think, bro? Like, I've already tried the methods, and they can say, oh yeah, like I'm giving them something already to start with, not just like, hey man, can you set up my studio for me? You know what I mean? So it's just like, you gotta like, it's a give and receive. It's not just take. And I feel like it's just what it is. When you're younger, sometimes people you're thinking take, just because you need to get on. Like when you're younger, it's just like me. I need this. Like it's like, and then when you get older, it's like it's almost like it's like, even though I'm older, I feel like I have that much more time. It's like, yo, I'm gonna just take my stuff one step at a time and just do it right. Instead of like when you're younger, you're just like, I just need to, like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, man, I definitely jumped off topic, but like, yeah, man. Like,
is that kind of like, when you started the Martians? Was that kind of like an exercise in being able to collaborate with other people and kind of get away from that me? Like, was that a harder venture than you originally thought it was going to be due to like all those personalities?
It's actually dope because that ties into like what I'm doing now. So like my next project. So I got 2 solo projects that's in the coming. So I have one solo project, but it's a duo. So it's a duo between me and Adam One. And Adam One's actually from the Martians. He's in my band, the Martians, right? So like we had a production duo together because, like I said, we've been making records together for years. And basically, I would always like of all people in the crew, I would go to his crib more, and we would always like make more records. Like even after like the session was over, sometimes I would stay over. We'd make another song and shit. We just happened to have a project, and that's basically how we did our first project, The Bakery, which is out on. That's the first. It was an EP we put out in 2019, I think, and it's called The Bakery. And that was actually joints that was just left over from the Martian sessions and shit. But that was joints that just happened to be just me and shit. Because like I said, it's a singer in the Martians, and she would, whenever she wasn't in the studio, we would just be making solo joints for me, but like not even for a purpose, just literally just making songs, just to make songs and shit. So that's kind of how the whole Illa J and Adam One thing started, from us being in the band together and just always continuing to make music together. And now even though he's in Montreal, I'm like West Coast in the States. Like we literally making music all the time. Like we actually just finished the joint now, sent it off to get mastered. It'll be out next month, October 8th. Yeah. It's supposed to come out. Well, I think that's the day. I don't want to say specifically, but I'm pretty sure that's the day, October 8th. That'll be the first single of our new project. It was dope. It just shows you how timeless music is when it comes to recording music. And it's like a lesson for all artists, honestly. Like sometimes you think you had a song and it might not do anything. And then later on, some special things happen with it. So it's a joint called French Kiss. It's on my album, Illa J, produced by Potato Head People. When we first made the song, it was just me on it. And then during the process of the album, we got Phife on it. But then what ended up happening was, the version with Phife went on. We just made a deal with, okay, well, I have my version of my album, then on Phife's project, he'll have version, and then that's the version with both of us on it. You know what I mean? So that was already out. It was one on my album, and then Phife had he had a Serato vinyl with that as one of the songs on it, right? And then just earlier this year, Say That People, they did a remix of the song, still using the same verse and everything, same verses, but they did a remix of the beat, and then they released this fall. And then fucking Redman jumped on it. So now
that's crazy.
Another version of it. Like, so it's just like, it's kind of trippy. Like that song literally has one, and that's the thing with Phife, it's 2 versions of the original Phife one. So like, I'll never forget this story. He called me and he spit 32 bars over the phone to me, like Phife rapping 32 bars on the phone. I'll never forget that. I was living in Montreal at the time. And the original version, we had to extend the beat because, you usually do 16s for rap. He had 32 bar verse, yo. So like, salute to Phife, man. Rest in peace, man. 32 bar verse.
Yeah.
But they just end up making it a 16. You just end up making it 16 instead or whatever. So technically it's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th version of the song. And it's like 6 years later. Like that's crazy. But like, I mean, I'm thankful. Like, you know, like what's the chances that Redman jump on this joint 6 years later? Like when you know what I mean? When we initially made this song, we didn't even think Phife would be on it at first. So like, let alone Phife and have Redman on it. Like, man, that's awesome, man. But like I said, that goes to show you never like put those songs out there, man. You never know what might happen with some song. Like, you know, like that's crazy.
I mean, you know, your debut is going to be called Timeless. So that concept must be strong because like, you know, 13 years later, if you listen to it now, it would still be relevant in today's landscape. That stuff doesn't age. But
you know what it is though, too? I feel like what it is when the most timeless music is when it's the most genuine, because what happens is if you're specifically trying to craft something specifically for a time period, then later on, then it'll feel like it's specifically for that time period. So it'll sound dated if you listen to it 10 years later and shit. Like, yeah, that's super dated. But like when you making something that's just genuinely in the moment, like even if you use elements of that time period, but it's genuine. It's like, it's not like, I'm not trying to do this just because everyone's doing it right now. I'm just doing some genuine feeling. It'll last longer and shit. So it's like, and that album, like I didn't even know what the album was when I made that. Like, it's just more like I'm excited doing my first album. So it's like, I feel like that's why it's so raw, because it is what it is. It's like, I'm not trying to make it anything. I'm just like, this is a kid trying to pay tribute to his bro and also introduce himself as an artist, like all at the same time. So yeah, man. I'm like, I don't know. I'm proud when I look back. Like for a lot of years, I was disappointed because I thought I was like a flop. You know what I mean? So like when I look back, I'm like, yeah, that was actually a successful album for your first album, never being in the industry, and with the pressure of having a brother that's a fucking legend. Like you know what I mean? Like I actually did good actually. So it's like, yeah.
I wish me and Potato Head people talked more about those kind of tunes. I think we spent like half the conversation talking about bowling and shit. So
shit. Did y'all talk about Perfect Game or like?
Yeah, I think they called you Mr. Profile Junior. So
yeah, Mr. Pro. Yeah, because my dad had a nickname. I have a tattoo of bowling pins on my arm. So like I like legit like we like on some bowling shit, right? Like for real, used to bowl after choir rehearsal on Tuesdays when I go with my parents. They had a adult league. They would go to bowling league. So we go then. And then everybody after choir rehearsal, we would go bowling on Friday. And then I had a youth league on Saturday. Like it was like serious. And then we would all go bowling Sunday. Like I was like good, like 200 average, like consistently. Like I could still get there. Like if I had some new bowling balls, I would definitely be able to like still get back there. If I bowled for like a few weeks in a row, I'll get my average back up fast. Like, yeah, like it's that serious. I have a tattoo of it, like literally of some bowling pins on my arm. That's how much we used to bowl. Like,
because I know they were in Canadian leagues, but they haven't been able to bowl because of COVID, so their game's rusty. You might want to post up on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I just want to say, like, I know that you're working on you know, your music, your health, and you know, you're newly married, and I feel like I'm talking to you at like the happiest time in your life, the most productive, just like at a good crossroads, man. So I'm happy. Man. I'm happy we're just able to sit down and make this happen.
Oh man, appreciate that, man. Honestly, it really is like it's surreal to be like at that point where it's just like I just like fully at peace. Like at this point, it's just now it's just like I don't know. I look at until you get to a point where you're financially stable, then it's hard to be completely free with it, because in some way you gotta kind of do certain things to get a bag. It's just what it is. Like you gotta eat. So it's like, but once you get to a point where you're stable enough, then you can focus on the music so much freer, because you're not thinking about bills or anything else. You're just thinking about, okay, I just want to be creative and have fun and enjoy the shit. You know what I mean? Always down to have a dope, like real conversation and shit. Cause like, you know what I mean? It's always like a lot of times you do interviews and it's like the same typical shit. I like when it's like, it feels like a conversation rather than like an interview. You know what I mean? Like, cause you know what I mean? It's like it is an interview, but it's not, you know, it's really a convo. It's like, yo, like, I want to chop it up with you about this on my platform. Really, that's it. It's really a conversation though.
That's the goal. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That's dope, man.